He kind of had this idea of himself but wasn't him. Inside he's a loser. He doesn't act. His house gets robbed, or there's an intruder. He doesn't do anything.
Herd mentality is something I think that's damaging our country, and I think that this movie really, I'm an individualist, and I don't like seeing everybody just all of a sudden, because they saw a picture of something, now they all are going this way.
Welcome to The Real Generation Gap. My name is Shane Schuldmeyer.
And I'm Fred Satilli.
And today we were reviewing Dream Scenario. Before we dive into the review, my dream scenario is that you're liking, you're commenting, and you're subscribing. I know previously in one of the reviews I said, we spend too much time making meaning of everything in a movie. But on the contrary, I think this movie, literally from the script to every shot to the placement to the colors of everything, had a meaning in this movie. I think that there was lots of depth to this movie.
I know you even like the filming style.
Yeah, even just the way it was shot, everything I think was meant to represent certain things. But let's get into, is social media culture herd mentality? This movie, basically, if you should know what it's about. It's about everyone starts to realize they see Nicolas Cage, a.k.a. Paul, in their dreams.
And he is an insignificant, quiet guy. He's an academic who's got no achievements in his career.
Nothing.
He blends in the background like a zebra in a herd of zebras. Yes. And that's the analogy they use, right?
Yeah, so that's one aspect of this film, the zebra. Throughout the movie, he's referencing, he's giving a lecture on why does a zebra have black and white stripes when it's in a tan environment? It doesn't blend in with its environment. And basically the students don't respond, they don't care. But he goes on to express, it's because as a herd, the predator can't make or tell what they are, or it can't separate them because it just sees one blob of zigzags and whatever. So Paul is part of the herd. He's a zebra. He's a normal guy.
Right.
He blends in with everyone in their day-to-day life. Nothing about him is unique. He doesn't stand out. And then, as you said, this greatness is thrust upon him. And now he's no longer part of the herd.
He has recognition, but not for what he wants recognition for. Mm-hmm. He's a scientist. He's trying to create a book which will be the apotheosis of his life. He's unable to do it. Mm-hmm. And he wants, now that he has notoriety and people would actually maybe buy his book because it was by him, still nobody's interested in this subject, which is ants, right? He's a study of ants.
Yeah, and he comes out with his theory of antelligence.
One of his students writes an article and includes that or something. And
No. So that's actually someone he went to college with.
Right.
And they kind of mocked him for it back in the day. And his colleague is producing this book, coming out with this book on his stuff.
And she makes hay with it.
Yeah.
She has his success.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's the Phantom of the Opera.
Kind of,
right. Yeah. So the question is, is our society captivated with this herd mentality? Is something that's commonly like a meme. You see something on the internet, on your phone, and everybody sees this, and all their opinion goes one way. So you had a whole giant community. Everywhere this guy went, everybody loved him.
They loved him, yeah.
Right, because that was the meme. He was the innocuous guy in the dream. He had nothing to do with the dream. He was just standing in it.
Yeah,
he wasn't one of the actors. Like two people would be, having a romantic interlude, and he's just standing there.
He's not,
right? And in his own life, he was the same way.
Exactly.
He in his family, his daughter didn't think of him as a hero, and he wanted to be her hero, but he wasn't doing anything heroic. His wife didn't think of his... And in fact, he took his wife's last name, right? They became... I don't remember what her name is now, but it was Matthews, I think it was. They became Mr. and Mrs. Matthews. Yes. She was Matthews. He changed, He said, I just felt it was right, So he's not that kind of a guy. So then the herd, all of a sudden they got spooked. Because now in their dreams, he was evil. He was attacking them, both violently and sexually. Whereas before that, a girl had a sexually provocative dream, and she was interested in, maybe having a moment of a sexual moment with him. But he, as a married and very uptight guy, was unable to follow through on that, which which was morally the better thing or something. But to him, it was a failure of masculinity. He was like, I can't get it up for you. You know, I got to get out of here. He had to flee, right? So once again, a failure, right? He wasn't making it in any regard. Mm-hmm. And even his notoriety even allowed his wife, because she now was the wife of the notorious guy, kind of like Priscilla and Elvis.
Yeah.
Right? And now she was getting job offers, and she's some project that she wanted to work on. Now she was welcome into it. Mm-hmm. Of course, when the worm turned, now they cast her out. So, and then she resented him for it.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and it was ruining her life. Now, one of the things I found interesting was he was a very not attractive guy, just a regular guy, kind of getting older and long in the tooth. And she, although I personally found her quite attractive, she just was a regular girl. But when the woman came on to him a little bit, right, his former classmate, she said, we need to get together. The wife was jealous.
Yeah.
And had no reason to be. And then when she started to work with this company where there was a guy who wanted to bring her in, really only because of her notoriety, he was like, are you two involved? Is there something going on here? So I thought it was interesting that these two people, they were jealous of each other, even though they really didn't have much of a reason to be. Mm-hmm. I thought that was kind of sweet in a kind of perverse way.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, the whole question is herd mentality in our society. This is one of the 82 notes that we have here. And herd mentality is something I think that's damaging our country. And I think that this movie really, I'm an individualist. And I don't like seeing everybody just all of a sudden, because they saw a picture of something, now they all are going this way, and it's not great. Everybody should have an independent mind. You shouldn't just be affected by a picture of some celebrity with fangs and blood dripping, and now you think they're the wolf man. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. And this poor guy, he did not cause his greatness, notoriety, and he did not cause his downfall.
Yeah, so
it was something that happened in their dreams.
Let's break this down real quick. So the social media in the movie, I think there's two forms of it in the movie. One, there's the social media aspect of everyone sees him in their dreams, right? That's kind of like social media, right? Like, it's like we all see it, and it's building a perception. But then also, they literally do make a device in the movie where it does become social media, where you're able to visit each other in your dreams, and they receive ads in their dreams, and it becomes a reality show. So that it literally does become social media.
That was such a funny aspect of the movie. Somebody monetized this.
Exactly.
A guy figured out how to do product placement in your dream. So you might have a romantic dream. It's you and your lover, and you're both drinking a Coke.
Yeah.
Because they implanted that through this device. They did product placement in your dreams.
Yeah.
That was a weird side thing, but very funny thing.
Yeah, so the herd mentality and the social media, it's played on two different perspectives in this movie. It's very interesting. It's very meta, I guess you could say.
One of the things I really liked about this was what happened to you. And, you and I have these conversations all the time, and I'm not really sure outside of these conversations what you think about a lot of things. But what happened to you was you became a fan of Carl Jung.
Yeah, so I think in the movie they reference the collective unconsciousness. Nicolas Cage, Paul, says something about it real fast. I looked into it, and there's 7 points to the collective unconsciousness. I think whoever created the script said, we're putting every piece of this in this movie. We're going to make a movie for someone who's a Carl Jung enthusiast. That's kind of what I got from, my research, but we can go through it and
or at least they ripped them off. You know what
exactly.
I mean? But it was interesting for me to see, because I had my own reactions, and one of my reactions was to talk about mass hysteria. Mm-hmm. But we're not talking about that now. Now we're talking about you and Jung. So the 7 things, one of them, collective unconscious.
That's the social media. That's everyone seeing him in their dreams. But it also includes all these other things like archetypes.
Right.
So he wants to be the hero, but he's not the hero. I mean, I guess that doesn't make him the villain, but he's kind of the average person. What archetype is that?
It was a big part of the movie.
Yeah.
That was a big part of the movie. Then there was persona.
And then, yeah, the persona.
He wasn't making his societal expectations, was he?
No, and he kind of had this idea of himself, but wasn't him. Inside he's a loser. He doesn't act. His house gets robbed, or there's an intruder. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
His coworker takes his intelligence and makes a book, publishes it, doesn't give him any credit, and he doesn't really do anything other than cries to his wife.
Right.
But his persona of himself is he's great. You know.
He's this great research scientist.
Great research scientist.
I'm a tenured
These
professor.
are my ideas. I'm a tenured professor. I'm the most interesting person in the world, and that's his persona of himself. And then when he gets famous, he kind of feeds that ego, right? He's like, I am the most interesting person in the world.
Right, all of a sudden he becomes interesting, but not for what he is.
Not for what he
for
is.
The mask. For the mask that he wears.
Exactly.
Right?
And then when he kind of realizes, you know, these people only like me because I'm in their dreams. It has nothing to do with who I actually am, my intelligence, my studies.
Right.
He starts to dive into the shadow.
Right, his gentle nature.
Yeah, he starts to dive into the shadow. And he starts to be angry and violent.
Right, resentful. They want him to make a Sprite commercial.
Yeah. And
he says, I'm an ant scientist.
Yeah.
I'm a college professor. You want me to talk about a can of soda? Mm-hmm. They say, yeah, now's the time to cash in. We're going to monetize your popularity. We're going to get you on a TV commercial.
Exactly.
This is, you know.
And once he dives into the shadow, that's when everyone starts to perceive him in their dreams as violent. And that's when he starts killing everyone in his dreams. And then it gets to a point where he actually has a dream of himself killing himself. And that's kind of his shadow being manifested to himself.
The creature from the id comes out.
Yes, exactly.
Right, your horrible nature. Mm-hmm. You know, in my notes, I put Phaedrus from Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. I know you never read the book, but yeah, it's an incredible thing that all through the story, the man is stalked by his evil nature. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not a person.
Yeah.
It's just in his own mind. He's psyche, like, I know that I'm going to lose it and go crazy. Mm-hmm. And it's a terrible thing. And then the anima and animus.
So, yeah, at first I was like, maybe they skipped this one. I didn't really think that this was in there. And then literally like 5 minutes ago, I kind of figured it out that in the movie, he takes on his wife's last name.
Right.
And that's a very feminine thing to do. He also doesn't protect his family. Which is, you look to the man to be your protector.
Right.
Right? So I did think, they did touch on that. And then the woman kind of wore the pants in their relationship. I think they did touch on it a little bit there.
They certainly did. Now, the sixth one on that list, and I love the way you say this because you say it properly, individuation.
Individuation, yeah.
Right? And I'm a big individualist. I think everybody is a minority of one. Mm-hmm. There's nobody exactly like you. Mm-hmm. What you think and how you feel are unique to you. Mm-hmm. And that's the herd mentality. This is why I resent herd mentality. Mm-hmm. But individuation, talk about that.
So my perception of how they incorporated it into that movie is it's the whole story, the whole process. He went from being this loser guy, but seeing himself as such a cool person, to becoming a monster to everyone, to now realizing I'm not that great. He's kind of seen, all aspects of life.
Right.
And he comes full circle.
The ultimate high, the ultimate low.
Yeah, the ultimate high, the ultimate low. He comes full circle. He accepts himself for who he is. He took his wife's name. He accepts all the previous subjects. In the movie, I think that point is when, this is a spoiler, obviously, at the very end, he's trying to get his wife back. They had broken up.
Right.
And he realizes, I had this nice little average zebra life, and he wants that back.
Right.
And we can dive into that more. Oh, and then there's the symbolism in dreams, and I think the symbolism is the zebras and the dreams. The whole movie is basically on dream.
Now, you and I differed on the ending that way.
Well, yeah.
By the time the end of that movie came, and I really like your version better than my own or something, but when he was trying to get his wife back and everything, I wasn't sure if he was dreaming that or not.
So there was different parts. Yeah, I really...
There were moments where it was like, is this reality or not? Or suddenly, you're going to realize that he only wants this and it's not really happening, or...
Yeah, so there's a part where he's like checking out the home. They're selling the home or something, and the wife's there, and they're passing each other by. And then he goes into the side like daydream where she's like crying. He's like, I got you, baby. Like,
He's wearing the big suit.
yeah.
Right, that was
Exactly.
her sexual fantasy.
No, not that part. Right before that part.
Right.
Yeah, he's like, he has this little side dream where he pulls her in, she's crying, and she's like, he embraces her. He acts.
Right.
He does something. But then he comes out of it quickly, and then she is crying, but he does nothing. He goes away.
Yeah.
But he says like, have you thought about me lately? And she's like, no, I don't think so. And
Oh yeah,
he
she
walks
goes,
off.
oh yeah, a couple days.
Yeah.
He says, well, I'll see you tomorrow. She goes, wait a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really terrible.
He goes off. But previously in the movie, they say if you're wearing the band to visit someone's dreams, you have to have a connection with them. So he's kind of hoping, like, I still have a connection with my ex-wife.
Right.
So then later, this is where you're like, previously in the movie, he's like, what's your dream scenario of me? And she says, like, you're wearing the suit, this corny suit, I'm surrounded by fire, you come save me, blah, blah, blah. And this happens at the end. He visits her in her dreams, but you didn't know if this was real or like...
I had a real problem with that.
Okay.
This is once again, got to see it again and figure out. I felt like I was right, but knew that I wasn't. Mm-hmm. It was a very strange feeling.
And that's why
I think I'm interpreting this all wrong.
Yeah, and
but then I couldn't rewind.
That's
I'm
really
in the theater.
Why I like this movie, because it just got me thinking, and I think it doesn't matter what I think. It's for everyone's own interpretation, you know?
I've never seen you react like this.
Yeah.
Look at these. This is pages and pages of stuff here. There's stuff I didn't even mention.
And I love that. And this is truly an art film. And that's what I love about art films. They get you to think, they get you to feel a certain way, and it might be totally different from what you think or how you feel. But to each of us, it's our own thing. And that's,
individualism.
Individualism. And that's why it's important. But there was also a lot of artistic choices in this movie I wanted to talk about. But is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, since we're at the end, I want you to talk about those things, because you're better at that than I am, because you went to the film school and have the training and you care more. But at the end, you had a perception that the very first scene in the movie... Right.
So I think part of the Carl Jung thing is, coming full circle. The very opening scene... It's the daughter's dream, and these keys crash to the table, and she's like, what the heck? And she's like, Dad. And Nicolas Cage isn't doing anything. And then a shoe falls into the pool, and Nicolas Cage is just still not even paying attention. He's inactive. He's not taking action.
Just like he would be in the dream.
Yeah, exactly. Or it is a dream. It is a dream, but how he would be in real life, not doing anything. The very last scene of the movie...
You're not even sure... That's so great.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're not even sure if that scene was her dream.
Exactly. That's why I like it.
I did not get that.
So in the very last scene, he, like we said, he wears the suit. He visits his wife in the dream. She's surrounded by fire. He's going to save her. He saves her. He's acting. He's finally doing something. And then he embraces her and he whispers in her ear. He says, I wish this was real. And then he starts to float up into the sky.
And he calls her name.
He floats up into the sky, and that could be interpreted that he's going up in the sky. He has his keys on him.
Right, they're going to fall. The shoe is going to go in the pool.
And it's full
right,
circle.
Right. That was very clever that you caught that, because I didn't. Why is he flying away?
I didn't catch it. I've been on Reddit nonstop. And I'm reading everyone else's stuff.
The confession. That was the confession.
I'm not taking credit for any of this. This is all... But it got me interested enough to look into it more, Yeah,
I've never seen you like this. I've never seen you do this amount of analysis and this amount of research and everything.
Yeah, and then, so on top of all this theory and philosophy, I think there was awesome artistic filmmaking. It also incorporated. So this was an AMC artisan film, which to me, that doesn't really mean much. But what that means is, what they have on their website was... It brings a unique vision and perspective. It pushes boundaries and sparks conversations, which definitely sparks conversation. It stretches actors outside their comfort zone, which I think this was an awesome role for Nicolas Cage. He played a loser. He's usually like the cool guy.
Very rangy.
Yeah, very rangy. It features a compelling score, which I didn't pay too much attention to the score in this one, to be honest.
Yeah.
But and then it unites an acclaimed cast, and this one was
acclaimed cast.
Nicolas Cage, but the rest.
Well,
and Michael Cera.
Right, and Matthews, Tim Meadows. Tim Meadows, he was the college professor.
Yes.
Right.
That's the criteria for AMC Artisan Films, which this was, because this is originally like an independent film that won festivals, and they brought it to AMC Artisan Film. So I just wanted to share that with the viewers and you.
So there was an original version of this?
This is like an independent film. Like they sent it to film festivals.
I see.
And AMC Artisan Films picked it up to
distribute.
Yes.
I get it.
Anyways, let's get into the artistic filmmaking. That I really love this movie. The first thing I noticed was, there's all this film grain, all this popping on the screen. And I love that. I'm a 90s kid, so that offers like a 90s nostalgic, comforting feeling for me. Did you notice the grain at all?
Well, I can't notice it because I grew up 100 years before you, so I'm used to seeing that, which is like film to
when
me.
When it doesn't have it, you're like, what's going on with this?
Yeah,
Why
this is
it-
way too clean.
Yeah.
Way too clean.
No, so I noticed that right away.
I like records that scratch, you know?
Yeah, some pop to it. Yeah, I like that. But then I Googled, what does film grain do for the viewer? And this is what it said. It says there's a level of grittiness associated with film grain. If used properly, that kind of noise makes a video feel more natural, almost like the footage is untouched and unedited. It makes it more believable, which helps draw the audience into the reality you were trying to create in your video, which I think is on point with the whole movie and what they're trying to do.
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
it was clever, maybe it wasn't. The audio was awesome. There's scenes in the movie where it's like, and I've seen this in other movies, but I love this effect where like the main character's in his own head and the rest of the world goes mute. And there's might be a little bit of a hum. He's a little shell-shocked in his own head.
Right.
And then someone breaks his attention and then it's all back.
Yeah.
And that's just a cool little editing thing. And I think it takes it to another level. I like that a lot. Now, I want to talk about the angles in the film. There is a point where Paul, he's talking to his boss. In the beginning of the movie, you see them eye to eye. The camera angle's dead on. They're level. Then when Nicolas Cage is famous, now we're looking up at Nicolas Cage when he's talking to his boss.
He's bigger than life.
Not only is we're looking up to him, behind him are the paintings that we can assume are great professors, scientists, whatever they are, but he's amongst them.
Right.
He's one of them now, and we're looking up at him. And then later in the film, like you were saying...
Talk about archetypes.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And then later in the film, not so much looking down, but he's literally under his boss. He stays in his basement.
Right.
He's now beneath him. Everyone hates him. You are beneath him. You're no longer...
He's low as low can be.
Low as low can be.
Yeah.
And that's just like little details that, you could have just set up a camera on a tripod and shot that scene. But they thought about it and they said, we need to make him... We need to build his ego. We need to make him feel like he's above everyone else. So we're going to point up and we're going to put these paintings behind him. And I think there's attention to detail in each and every one of those shots.
You really loved this movie.
I liked this movie a lot.
Yeah, I did too.
I liked this movie
I did too, and it grew on me.
Yeah.
The more I thought
and
about it.
And it was funny too. It's a dark comedy. There's a lot of serious tone to it.
Oh yeah.
But there was also a lot of moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, that's silly. That's ridiculous. Like there's the scene where he's trying to woo the girl, or she's trying to woo him, and he can't perform, but he farts. And I think that's funny because I think any guy I know where he's trying to... Any of my friends have a story where he's been trying to get into a girl's pants, but he's holding in a fart the whole time.
Right, yeah.
He's trying not to let it out.
or doing some other embarrassing, like holding back some other embarrassing thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really funny moment. Everyone in the theater chuckled at that part.
I remember a comedian saying he had a girl, he flexed his arm like that he was muscular while he was driving, and then they were going. He was like he couldn't move, like he had a spasm,
Yeah, the things we do when we're trying to peacock, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, oh, that's great.
Yeah. But yeah, I loved this movie. I liked it a lot. It got me thinking. I think it was artistic. I think it was funny. I haven't seen too many Nicolas Cage movies. I've seen what was it called? National Treasure.
Oh, I like that a lot.
I like that movie too.
That was an adventure. That was
it's a totally different movie.
Right, action.
I really enjoyed this movie, and I think that everyone will have their own interpretation of what the movie meant, how the story unfolded, and some people are very likely to hate this movie.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see where it would be lost on them. Mm-hmm. Sometimes these things are lost on people, and it's a shame. It's a shame. You almost need to have a primer, like somebody tell you, look, what you're going to see tonight is this, and this. Don't forget to notice that or whatever. Mm-hmm. And this is why it really merits watching movies multiple times. We've said it in so many of these reviews where, I could see it again. I should see it again. I'll get more. Everybody knows if you see it a second time, you pick up stuff you didn't see it before.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And this is one where you definitely can see it a few times.
But this was definitely a movie that's meant to convey a message, to put a commentary on society, and to promote a feeling versus, like the Thanksgiving movie was just a slasher fun movie.
Right. Well, it did have the comment about the merchandising.
Yeah, it did actually.
And this had the comment about the meme society, the social media, the herd mentality.
Yeah.
That was my primary thing that I took from it. Mm-hmm. And the other thing, of course, is the self-introspection, where if something great happens, you sort of ride it out like everybody loves me. I'm going to ride this out like. It's he in the character's credit, Nicolas Cage's character's credit, he did not take credit for being popular. And he really tried to maintain his professor persona. He's like, you realize that this is just a dream and really I'm this scientist guy. Yeah. He tried to hang on to that, but in the end, when it turned, he was confronted with the opposite. He's like, I'm not responsible for this. I didn't hurt you. Yeah, exactly. You dreamed it. It's in your head. Yeah. I didn't. And in our society now, we have a really lot of that where something is in people's head and they think we have to be kind to this person, or we have to be mean to that person, or we have to, support this issue, or we have to deny that issue. And in 99% of it's in their head. They don't even know what they're talking about in most cases.
Exactly.
And there's a media that memes them, like it feeds them, like throwing gasoline on a fire.
Yeah. If this goes so deep, it can go even further.
It really does. It really does. I'm giving it a good rating. I'm going to rate it at an 8.
Nice. Me too. I'm going 8. I'm going 8 as well. I loved it. It was funny. It got me thinking. It got me going.
Everybody needs to see it twice.
Yeah, and like I feel like if I watched it again, come up with 30 other theories about what it was about.
Right. But you really did well with this one.
Thank you, Fred.
And I mean, I saw a different side of you, and I really liked that.
Yeah, got my little filmmaker heart going again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, you really lit up.
Thank you again for watching The Real Generation Gap. My name is Shane Schuldmeyer.
I'm Fred Satilli.
And this has been a review of Dream Scenario. All right, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Have you guys checked out Dream Scenario? What do you guys think of my crazy conclusions of this film and putting all these artistic ideas together? What do you guys think this film meant? Do you guys think that it was a circular story, or do you think I'm full of crap? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys at the next one.